When a crime is committed, the focus is on prosecution and punishment. Justice is served, and the perpetrator pays their debt to society. For the victim, this outcome may bring some closure. However, a growing number of professionals focused on criminal justice reform don't believe that the system ultimately benefits society. A new approach called Restorative Justice seeks to right the victim's harm by involving victims, offenders, and community in a process that results not only in justice, but also healing. Reggie Hola is a community organizer with Sacramento ACT and works with Restorative Justice. Eural Strickland is a youth leader with Sacramento ACT. They join us next on Studio Sacramento.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the Capital Region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
Why should anyone care, let alone invest money, in trying to bring people who are incarcerated or involved in the criminal justice system back into society?
The organization I work with Sacramento ACT, we believe that, we believe in second chances. One crime doesn't define the person. And with the right training, with the right education, mentoring, we believe that they can come back into society and be successful.
The stereotype, though, is one crime leads to more, and that the people who perpetrate crime are essentially hopeless, and that we're throwing good money after bad by trying to rehabilitate folks that are involved. Tell us the stories of the people that you work with every day and why that's wrong.
So we work with the Positive Youth Justice Initiative, right? And they're formerly incarcerated youth coming straight from juvenile hall into our program. We work with them inside of the juvenile hall, and then as they transition, then we offer stipends. But on a better note, we help them find jobs. We help them step out of Sacramento, their norms, their environment, what they're used to, right? And so, in bringing them out, we can look at it as if we're doing better when we lock them up and throw away the key. But in all actuality, when we look at the dollars that's behind locking up a juvenile versus helping them educate themselves or helping them push through school, such as like $250,000, right, to incarcerate a young individual versus $10,000 to see them to invest and help them go through school, right?
To be able to go through school. And your story starts all the way back in foster care. You've been involved in the system. Tell us about how you came to be here.
Growing up, I faced several issues. So I mean, as far as poverty, I grew up around people that gangbanged. My big brother and my older cousins, they were all gang members. They were well known. So I mean, growing up, seeing all of that, and when you grow up around illegal activities, that's what becomes normal to you. So everything that's wrong to society, when you grow up around it, it becomes what's right to you. So I mean, I fell victim to it without knowing. So 12, 13, not fully understanding that robbing people is wrong or gangbanging is wrong, I fell victim to it. Because to us, it was right. That's what they teach us. They teach us that it's right. So the whole time, I feel like I'm doing what's right. And every time I go to jail, I'm questioning the authorities. Like, why are you taking me to jail? This is what I'm used to. This is what I'm accustomed to. This is what I was taught. This is what I was told. So after a while, I start going to jail. I got arrested, and then eventually I ended up in foster care. I've been to like 5 different foster cares.
5?
I've been to 5 foster cares. I've been to one in Sacramento, one in Montgomery Creek, one in Oakland, and one in LA. I ran from all of those, and then eventually they sent me out of state to Iowa. And then while I was out of state in Iowa, I completed a level B placement. I did 8 months in the level B placement.
Is that like a correctional facility?
Not a correctional facility. It's a foster home, but it's a high impact foster home. So basically, it's more strict. They seen that they wasn't capable of training me, or capable of forcing me to do something that I didn't want to do in the state of California. So what they did was they sent me out of state, where I didn't know anyone, where I couldn't run. They put me in the middle of nowhere. So like the stories are true when people say that they go through that. It's true. I've been there. I was one of them. So they're able to do that. So I mean, after that foster care, I completed it. I did 8 months. I had a few incidents there. Then I came home, and after I came home, probably like 2 or 3 days after that, I went back into custody. I went back into custody because even though I went to a foster care, the problems at home still remain the same.
What kind of problems?
The problems at home as far as poverty. I mean, I'm poverty stricken.
Tell us what poverty is like as you experienced it.
What poverty is like from my experience is not having food in the house, dealing with rats and roaches, dealing with having to hear your little brother say that he's hungry and you can't do nothing about it. That's poverty. Like, I don't know about for everyone else, but for me, that defines poverty. Or wearing the same clothes for a week because that's all you got. That's poverty. I mean, from a day-to-day basis, you putting on the same clothes, or maybe the same pants and then change the shirt. That's below the average human.
How does that affect you when you, as a young man, are trying to go to school and you're dealing with what you just described every day?
The way it affects you is the way it affects humans. The way it probably affects any youth, it makes them angry. It makes them do things that are wrong to get what they should already been provided to them. So if you wearing the same clothes constantly, you going to school constantly, there's gonna be kids. You know, bullies are real. So there's gonna be bullies that sit there and talk about you. They're gonna say, "Oh, you're dirty. Oh, you're nasty. Oh, your mom's poor. Oh, you broke. Oh, you're this. Oh, you that." And you can't do nothing about it because it's the truth. I mean, you can get mad, you can fight and get expelled, but more than likely, what most kids do, they drop out of school or they stay in school and they start selling drugs. And when they're not selling drugs, they're out robbing people, breaking into homes, and planning out several illegal activities.
Well, you know, one of the things that has been really, popular in California and the rest of the country too, is this whole notion of zero tolerance, right? We're a zero tolerance school. We don't allow anybody to do anything because we're going to have our schools safe, clean, whatever, right? For someone who's having your experience, what does that zero tolerance mean to somebody like you?
I think zero tolerance, I think it's another form of bullying.
Another form of bullying?
Another form of bullying that you can't do anything about. All right, so basically zero tolerance is basically like they when you get in trouble or when you do certain things, they don't sit down and ask you why did you do it? What made you do it? How can we help you get through it? They don't. They basically see the behavior and they automatically think punishment. And you can fight back authorities, but eventually the authority is going to win because he has more rank than you. He has more power over you. That's like you fighting back with your mom about going to bed. It's not going to work.
And, a lot of the zero tolerance activities, when you look at the statistics, young men of color seem to be suspended, expelled more than anyone else. Young women of color as well. Mm-hmm. Have you, in your experience, had to deal with other young people like Eural right here, making the same statements he is?
As far as the work that I'm doing, have I dealt with anybody else?
On the zero tolerance issue?
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of the females, the girls and the boys that come into the program, they've been expelled, they've been suspended, and for small issues. It's just that the things that they're going through at school and then the things that they have to face at home and within the community are never addressed. And so they're coming in there with angry. They don't care. They don't care about how can you teach a person if you're not taking care of their basic needs, right? And so if they're coming in a hungry stomach and they can't get a free meal or not, it's hard for them to focus in class. So why even go to class, right? if they don't feel like they're part of the school, they don't have any peers at the school. And so I see a lot of times it pushes them back onto the streets, like Eural was saying, and they get involved with the gangs because now they have a set of people that they can lean on to, right? That understands their pain. And so that's what happens. And what we try to do is we try to bring them into the program, address these issues, address the trauma.
What is the program called?
Positive Youth Justice Initiative.
All right. And it's part of this whole movement on restorative justice.
Most definitely.
What is exactly to you the benefit of restorative justice?
Restorative justice, so basically restorative justice to me is this: admitting, right, forgiving, and then feeling remorse, right? You can't have restorative justice like, say, me and Eural committed a crime and against you. And so, not to point you out like that, but we committed a crime against you and we go to prison, do a long bid, right? And so within this bid, we never feel no remorse, but you've forgiven us. That still doesn't satisfy restorative justice. Restorative justice is saying, all right, hey, we harmed you, we victimized you, and I feel sorry for that. Feeling that remorse, you being able to forgive us, then we finally get to say that, you know what, we fully been effective with restorative justice.
Okay, so go ahead.
And that takes a lot, because like I just said, if you're growing up seeing that everything that is wrong is right, then you don't really feel remorse for it, because it's like, how can I feel remorse for something that I didn't do wrong? This is how we grew up. This is what it is. This is what I was told. This is what I was shown. So for a youth or for an inmate or for anybody that commits illegal crimes, for them to take that action and actually own up to their own responsibilities, then that's a lot.
It's normalized criminal behavior, all right? This is normal to us. Going out there with the guns, the shooting, it's easier to get a gun in Sacramento than it is to get a diploma.
Say that one more time.
It's easier to get a gun in Sacramento than it is to get a diploma. And that's because it's around us, right? These communities that we grew up in, we need that, right? It's our sense of protection. We don't look for the police for protection. And out here in Sacramento, when a lot of our youth are coming to this program, they sense that fear when they see police around, right? And so it's different when we see, when we're in our community and what everybody's putting out there on TV, because we feel like in order for us to succeed, we have to have the right resources, right? Within the community and at school, right? If the counselors were effective, and I'm not saying all counselors are bad, but there are a few that are there, like that support, right? There are a few after school programs that help, but for the majority, right, there are no programs set for them to succeed when they get in trouble because of that zero tolerance policy.
So one thing that our friends with us looking at this show today don't know is that the three of us went to the same elementary school,
Wow.
Freeport Elementary School in South Sacramento.
Definitely.
And South Sacramento and the public school system, we're talking about zero tolerance, and then we're talking about what happens to kids when they're thrown out. They get into trouble. More things happen, some of it affected by home, some of it affected by the streets. What is it in your mind, Reggie, that's missing from our communities, our schools, that needs to either be changed or needs to be added to start to address this issue?
We need to bring, for sure, restorative justice programs, right? So that instead of suspending or expelling or even sending a youth to juvenile hall, we send them to this class, right? A program, instead of detention, we bring them into this restorative justice program to really ask those questions that Eural was saying, right?
But let me interrupt you for a second, because there are going to be folks watching us who are going to say, but where's the justice in that? That means essentially allowing somebody to commit a crime, commit a harm, whether it's at school, in the streets, wherever, and there is no consequence. So you can do whatever you want and just say, I'm sorry?
I don't really think that's exactly part of what restorative justice is. I think restorative justice is focusing more on rehabilitation than punishment. So you can punish somebody all they want to, but eventually the punishment is going to end. So if you just punish him and you keep on punishing him, he's not going to learn from that. He's not going to learn nothing. He's not going to understand what he did was wrong or any of that. He's just going to understand, okay, if I did that and that's what happens, but eventually he's going to keep doing it. It's like in an adult system. It's like you take somebody who committed a crime and you just lock them up. You lock them up for 5-6 years. Eventually that person is going to come home, and he's going to have the opportunity to commit the same crime again. Now, if you have rehabilitative services or restorative justice in act, then that way when that person does commit that crime or he does do something like that, you're teaching him. You're teaching him, like, okay, we understand that you did something wrong. You will also have to face the consequences. Don't ever take the consequences away from it, but you also teaching that person at the same time.
And from the people that you work with on doing restorative justice, this works?
It does. It worked. I'm living proof of it.
How did it change you?
It changed me because I'm not in the streets no more. I'm not out here robbing people. I'm not out here shooting at people. I'm not out here flashing signs. That's not me no more.
Look pretty good in a suit.
Thank you. Definitely, but it does work. I mean, by him and the other people that work with him helping me, I'm able to help someone else. I mean, I speak at schools. I speak inside fundraisers and all different type of things. I impact people. I have a little brother. I got people that look up to me. By me doing what's right, I'm showing them to leave everything else that was taught to us originally alone and to do something different.
If you could speak to the people that are all in power, whether it's in business and government, wherever else, what do they need so that the next young man like yourself never has to end up going through the things that you had to go through? What is it that they need to do?
I think they need to show love. It's as simple as that.
Love.
Show love. Show love to us. Let us know that we love. Because in the hood or in poverty-stricken areas, everybody's so focused on money, you don't have families showing love to one another. My mom, I haven't heard my mom say she loved me in I don't know how long.
Really?
Like, seriously. People don't show that type of love. They don't. I mean, that's why people join gangs, because they missing love in the home, so they go to the streets.
You didn't mention a father at all.
I am. My father is present. He is present. And he does what he can to be there for me. But I grew up with my mom. Mm-hmm. So my mom, even though my dad is there, and I'm able to reach out to him and contact him as of now, my mom is she means more to me. That's my mom. That's the lady who birthed me. I mean, I was with her my first couple years of being human.
Got it.
And there's nothing like a mother's love. Nothing.
I want to ask you, Reggie.
Yeah.
Tell us your story. What led you to do this type of work?
What led me? It's been a long journey, but my family came from the islands, right? American Samoa, we're Tongan born, and so when I was about 6 years old, my family said, you know what, we're gonna go to America. We're gonna go and try to find this American dream, right? We're trying to discover something new, something different. Because we knew the island life was just the same, right? You couldn't make too much of it, right? And so we sold everything. Me and my dad got on the plane, and we came out to Sacramento with some of our family members, and we lived with them. When we came to Sacramento, we came to South Sacramento. And what they call Iraq right now, right? 29th Street was home, right?
Same area that Stephon Clark lived.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And was, murdered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, same area, same neighborhood. But I grew up in that neighborhood. That was home to me. My family was there. They eventually came down. There's about 6, 7 of us, right? And so we lived in this home, got involved with some of the gangs, got involved with the drug dealers. Everybody that was around me was either a pimp, a hustler, a drug dealer, a gangster. One way or another, that's what my community looked like, right? Family members and things like that. And so as I was growing up, I started to see that we were living in poverty, that we were really poor, and that we needed to move up. And school wasn't helping me. I wasn't going to school and getting paid. I couldn't put no food on the table, no money, my mom's purse or wallet, whatever. I couldn't support like that. And so I turned to drug dealing. I turned to trying to find a better way to make things happen, make things meet, right? And then I eventually got caught up when I was about 15 years old inside of the, at school, Valley High School. And so they got me for like a couple sacks of weed, and they took me off to juvenile hall. And so that's where everything started. After that, got out, got into a little bit of more trouble, fights here and there, and then ended up going back into juvenile hall. And then by 17, I had received a GED, was supposed to come out and start going to college, and things went south from there. And
Really?
So I just came back home and realized, like, man, nothing is happening. Everything is just at a standstill. And so committed a few robberies. When I was 18, I was incarcerated for 8 years and 4 months. And so after doing that
Where
time, I was at the county jail. I went from the county jail to Tracy, from Tracy to Solano, and then Solano to San Quentin. And so when I was at San Quentin, they had all these different programs, right? And it was hard to really join them. There was a long list. But before I got there, within the time I had done, I started picking up books, right? There's like different hood books. There's different categories, right? Hood books, little novels, fiction novels, and then certain autobiographies by different people. And I kind of progressed in my reading. And so I was like, man, I finished my first book. I just wanted more. And I just kept finding every book that I could find inside the county jail. I started reading. And then I think it was a book by Robert Kiyosaki, right? Kiyosaki, I forget how you say his name.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so that book really helped me shift that paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
When I was sitting back there, I was in the hole, I remember. And, in the hole, all you have is a Bible. People come around with books and things like that. And I was sitting back there, and you're in the cell by yourself, 24 hours, 365, right? I barely was able to come out and take a shower like maybe every other week or so, right? So in the shower, I'm bathing in the sink and stuff like that. And so these books are coming, and I'm reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm like, man, I've had a poor mindset this whole time. Why haven't I stepped out of the box? I've always been thinking inside of the box. And so like my older cousin said, before he went to prison, was in the cell, his mindset was always in the cell already, right? In the community, we have already...
Let me just pause there. Before he was ever in the cell, his mindset was always in the cell.
Yeah, had already been in there,
Huh.
right? So he already caged himself in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking that, okay, this is what life looks like. If out there in the community, this is all that life is. We grow up, we don't know if we're gonna make it past 18. We don't know if we're gonna make it past 25. And so in thinking that, now we're taking big risks. We're like, man, if I don't make it now, right, I'm never gonna make it. And so being able to sit behind those bars at 18, when I seen 18 come, I said, oh man, I'm good. Then I seen 25 come, I said, man, I'm even better right now. And so I started to step out of that box. I started going, man, you know what, I could do anything that I want to do, right? I started believing in myself more. I started believing in the things that I could do.
So what led you to do this work, though?
And so coming home out here in Sacramento, I got a brother that's facing murder charges, cousins that passed away and was shot down due to gun violence. It hurt me, right? To come home and not see the streets the way I left it, right? Where everybody's, coming over to each other's house, things like that. And so it really hurt me. And then I got the opportunity, the second chance through Sacramento ACT to do this work, right? I started with ARC, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, which led me into the work right now. But it was all about giving back to the community.
And ultimately, what would you like to end up doing?
I feel like this is the model right now, right? It's each one teach one for the next one to reach one. And so in order for us to build, we got to build from the ground up, right?
So you work with this young man, and I want to know from you, Eural, where should we expect to see you one of these days in another fly suit?
Hopefully one day owning my own business, so maybe advertising my business somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So as you reach out and you do the work yourself that you do with the community, what's the message that you give young people that's the most powerful, that you think affects them the most in seeing that there's a different way to go?
I would say the message that I give that's really important is understand what you are doing. Like that's very important. If you can't understand what you are doing, you will never understand the consequences of what you're doing, or that you will face for doing what you did. So I think that's the most powerful message. So what I mean by that is, don't pick up that gun and go shoot somebody if you don't understand the consequences. So, because when they say life without parole, they mean life without parole.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that the people who perpetrate crimes like that understand up front what the consequences are? Not only of the crime, but just real quickly of what it does in hurting another person.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they got other influences that make it seem cool. They got friends and homies that it's like a race in the streets.
All right, and we're going to leave it there. Thanks to you both, and good luck in your work.
Thank you.
All right, and that's our show. Thanks to our guests, and thanks to you for watching Studio Sacramento. I'm Scott Syphax. See you next time right here on KVIE. Nice job.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the Capital Region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
All episodes of Studio Sacramento, along with other KVIE programs, are available to watch online at